it's doing to the sky, and it's because the sky is probably not as high res as it should be for a shot like this. So bear that in mind when you do start to create your own elements in Photoshop. There you go for a sky that's got some really nice high res to it, because we're in actually quite close in this shot. We could have a look at the sky in terms of resolution, bearing in mind that frame 0 we're as far away from the sky that will ever be, and then we sort of seem to push in on it. We could go to that frame 0 and maybe just scale that sky in a little bit, not too much. Still want to maintain that edge. Just double check that our camera movement is not going to affect that, and that's going to work nicely. It's given us a little bit more detail on the sky now. I could probably, now that I've scaled it, probably just move it up a little bit. Just always bear in mind that there is a sort of a mask, a mountain shaped mask. You can see it start to appear there. Just bring it back down, and that's probably going to work nicely. And just check your starting and finishing camera angles there. It looks like our shadow shine from the character, which is this foreground rim light, could come down a little bit in opacity. So just hit T, just bring that down to something that's a little, we're going for subtlety here, something that's nice and subtle. I think it's going to work nicely, given that from frame 0 you really can't see it, and then it starts to appear as we move to our finishing position there. And probably the only other thing we could do is I'll just rename this to curves. What we could probably do is just put a layer, new, solid, a black solid, comp size is fine, we'll go OK to that, and then we're just going to add an effect of a transition linear wipe, and we're just going to just wipe this over to the right hand side, give it a nice big feather, something like that. We'll switch its layer mode to maybe a classic color burn. It's probably a little bit harsh, maybe just a linear burn. Now we'll go with that. We'll go with the classic color burn, and then hit T. Just bring the opacity right down. Just wind it in until we start to get a little bit of a vignette effect on the edge there. So from frame 0, it sort of brings out that orange in the sky on the right hand side, and just sort of pushes you in to the scene a little bit. So it's similar to a vignette, except it's sort of a linear